Hi everyone, my name is Samantha and today I am outside.
Just kidding. I'm actually back inside because it started raining outside. But anyway, so for today's experiment, I thought it'd be really cool if we could do something that you could maybe eat as well as cool yourself down. Where I've been living, it's super hot, so I thought it'd be nice to try and make something called instant ice or instant slush. So, what is nice about this experiment is that it requires little to no materials. All you really need are one bottle of water. This one's 500 milliliters. A container to pour out your instant ice or instant slush in, as well as an ice cube. I also have some food coloring here, just in case you guys want to see some more cool effects of the ice being formed, as well as a tray, just to make sure that there's no mess if I have to clean up later. So the procedure for this experiment is super simple. All you have to do is put your water bottle inside your freezer and wait. So you need a little bit of patience here. So for this particular water bottle size, I found that around 2 hours and 20 minutes was perfect to get this water into what we call the supercooled stage. So what supercooling means is when you have your liquid at a temperature that's actually below its freezing point. So for water, it would be 0 degrees Celsius, but obviously when you put it in the freezer, at one point it'll reach a temperature below 0 degrees Celsius. However, with supercooling, that means that your liquid stays in its liquid form instead of becoming a solid form or ice. Okay, so I have set my timer to 2 hours and 20 minutes. And I'll start that now. So for me and the freezer that I have at home, 2 hours and 20 minutes is about the right time for this size amount of water. Depending on the size or the volume of liquid that you're using, and also depending on the power or your freezer's ability to freeze things well, you might have to change that time to maybe a bit more, say maybe closer to 3 hours, or a bit less, maybe an hour and a half. I recommend that after an hour and a half, you check in on your liquid, say every 15 minutes to half an hour, just to make sure that it hasn't completely solidified on its own. And I also recommend having a backup just in case. So maybe stick 2 or 3 of these bottles in the freezer as well at the same time, just to make sure that if one freezes over, maybe another of them was able to stay in its super cooled state. I also recommend that you place your water bottles horizontally instead of vertically in your freezer. What's also really cool about this experiment is that you can actually use other liquids besides water. I think a really cool experiment would be to try using juice, say your favorite type of juice, apple juice, cranberry juice, whatever you have at home, to try and make an instant slushie. Alright, time to go check on our water. Okay, so I have retrieved all my water bottles from the freezer. As you can see, I have 2 here that are still in their liquid form, so they're super cooled. I have just normal water as well as water that I decided to add some blue food coloring to, just to see how cool it would look once it becomes a slush. So I took some blue food coloring and I just added a couple drops of it into the water there, so that when we super cool it down, we'll have a blue slush form instead of just plain old transparent non-colored slush. And then I have a third water bottle that unfortunately became ice. So that's why I recommend that you guys you have a couple backups maybe just in case. And let's proceed. Okay, so we're going to first start off with the normal bottle of water without the food coloring. And what you're going to do is just open up that water bottle. Just make sure to be gentle. You don't want to accidentally agitate it by bumping it or shaking it too much. Otherwise, you could start the crystallization and formation of ice too soon. And what we're going to do is just take our water and pour it over this ice cube here. And as you can see, instant ice, instant slush is formed. Isn't that cool? So, the main reason that we use an ice cube here as our starting point and pour our super cooled water onto it is because the ice cube acts as what we call a nucleation point. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but the idea is that because this ice is already in its solid state, that makes it a favorable location for other water molecules or little pieces of water when you break it down up to the microscopic level almost, or even smaller. What those little water molecules will do are move around and they'll become attracted to that site, and from that solid state it'll propagate and the ice crystal formation will continue to grow and grow, and eventually you get this slush form here. Okay, next up we're going to use our blue food colored water. So again, open it gently, make sure not to disturb it too much. And then using the same ice cube from before, I'm just going to pour it out there. And you can see slowly that you get a little mountain of blue right there. So one reason that the slush from the blue one might not be formed as quickly as the normal water might be because the water needs to be super cooled a little bit more. So what you can do if that's the case for your experiment, you can stick it back in the freezer for a little bit and wait a little bit longer to let it super cool. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this experiment, and I hope that you have a fun time trying it out. And as I said before, you don't have to just use water. You can use something like, say, juice, and maybe make yourself an instant slushie to have a nice snack in some hot weather. Another cool little thing you could do is that you can also take your super cooled water and make that slush, and then you can, if you have something at home to sort of flavor it, say some like freezy juice, or maybe even just using a kind of syrup to flavor your slush, that'd also be really cool. And one other thing that you can do is that you don't have to use an ice cube to start the slush formation or use it as the nucleation point. What you can do instead is take your container, whatever container you want. It can also be like a metal container. I don't recommend plastic, but take a clean container and also stick it in your freezer for maybe like half an hour to an hour so that it gets super cold as well. And what you can do is just directly pour your super cooled liquid in, and it should also be able to make a slush. Anyway, I want to challenge you guys to try different flavors with whatever you have at home, or even try different other food colored waters. It doesn't have to be blue. And so I hope you like this video, and subscribe if you want to find out some cool new science experiments. See ya!